Welcome to today's news wrap up. Let's dive into the top stories making headlines today. Google will rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America for U.S. users following President Trump's executive order. The change will be reflected on Google Maps once the federal system updates the name. Additionally, Denali will be renamed to Mount McKinley. That's the original name. Back when I was in Alaska, that's what it was called. On Google Maps for U.S. users. USA U.S. aid employees have been placed on paid leave for allegedly circumventing President Trump's executive orders. Acting Administrator Jason Gray stated that the actions appear to undermine the president's directives and the mandate from the American people. The decision has sparked criticism from Democrats and concerns about national security implications. House Oversight Chairman James Comer has launched an investigation into sanctuary cities, requesting documents from communications related to their policies and their impact on public safety. Comer invited the mayors of Boston, Chicago, Denver, and New York to testify before the committee on February 11th. The investigation aims to determine whether further legislation is needed to enhance border security and public safety. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban declared that George Soros has lost influence in America with Donald Trump's presidency, and Soros supporters are now retreating to Brussels. Orban emphasized the need to push the Soros network out of Europe and reclaim financial resources from Brussels. He criticized former U.S. Ambassador David Pressman and highlighted the importance of Hungarian sovereignty and national security. I really like the Hungarian prime minister. He's been fighting Soros over the years. President Trump announced that Microsoft is in talks to acquire TikTok from its Chinese owner, ByteDance. He expressed a preference for the U.S. to own 50% of the app and mentioned that Elon Musk might be interested in buying it. The Biden administration has previously banned TikTok, but Trump signed an executive order delaying the enforcement of this law. The GOP-controlled Senate has initiated a formal hearing to address Panama's alleged violations of the Panama Canal treaties. Senator Ted Cruz emphasized the importance of the canal for U.S. trade and national security, highlighting concerns over Chinese influence and increased transit fees. Panama's president, Ricardo Martinelli, responded by asserting Panama's sovereignty and rejecting any external control over the canal. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett predicts that President Trump's economic plans will bring the biggest fiscal reform America has ever seen, focusing on trade, energy, deregulation, and tax and spending cuts. He emphasizes that tariffs are part of a broader strategy to achieve a golden age for the U.S. Hassett also highlights the importance of domestic energy production and reducing government spending to combat inflation. 50 Cent mocked lawyer Gloria Allred after she sued him for allegedly ordering his entourage to assault photographer Guadalupe de los Santos. Allred claims 50 Cent's SUV door was intentionally open to hit De Los Santos, causing injuries and damage. 50 Cent responded on Instagram, ridiculing Allred and denying the allegations. I think that's going to be hard to prove intent of someone opening a door, right? I don't know. A journalist from The Federalist, Adam B. Coleman, argues that Democrats want illegal immigration to create a permanent underclass they can exploit for cheap labor, benefiting the economic elite. He believes that pathway to citizenship is a political tool to maintain this underclass while distracting American citizens. Coleman praises Trump's immediate impact on immigration enforcement, contrasting it with Biden's inaction. Outraged Chicago locals criticized CNN for selective reporting on migrant raids, focusing on human tragedy while ignoring the arrests of violent criminals and pedophiles. Citizen journalists, Chicago Contrarian, accused CNN of bias, highlighting the deportation of sex offenders, gang members, and murderers. Critics argue that CNN's coverage fails to differentiate between legal and illegal immigration. Critics slammed New York Magazine for cropping black people out of a photo from a pro-Trump rally, falsely claiming the crowd was almost entirely white. The magazine's cover story ignored the presence of black attendees, including the event's black host, C.J. Pearson. He hosted the darn thing. Conservative commentators accused the magazine of pushing a misleading narrative about the diversity of Trump supporters. I mean, would you expect anything less from the mainstream media? A Tren de Agua gang leader responsible for the Aurora, Colorado apartment takeover last year was arrested in New York City by federal agents. Anderson Zambrano Pacheco, 25, was nabbed in the Bronx during early morning raids by heavily armed DEA agents and Homeland Security officers. He was wanted on a kidnapping warrant from Aurora, Colorado. Well, he made it all the way to New York. Over 5,000 doctors, scientists, and academics have signed an open letter to the U.S. Senate supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS. They argue that dismissing legitimate scientific inquiry as misinformation hampers progress and emphasizes the importance of questioning and refining ideas. The letter highlights Kennedy's commitment to evidence-based decision-making and his willingness to engage in open dialogue on contentious health issues. Excuse me. Social media users criticized Kamala Harris for using plastic bags during a shopping trip, calling her a hypocrite given her past stance on it against them. The backlash comes amid reports of tension in her marriage and accusations against her husband, Doug Emhoff. Harris had previously advocated for banning plastic bags, but has since stopped discussing the issue, of course. Senator Lindsey Graham predicts that the Supreme Court will support President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. He argues that the practice attracts illegal immigration and is a, quote, cheap way to award citizenship. Critics, however, emphasize its long history and the idea that America is a nation of immigrants. On the flip side, Senator Lindsey Graham called for a Senate investigation into President Trump's decision to revoke John Bolton's Secret Service protection. Graham emphasized the importance of ensuring that former government officials who face threats are not left without security. He argued that the Senate needs to determine the best way forward to protect individuals who have served the country. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt revealed that the drones flying over New Jersey were authorized by the FAA for research and other purposes. She emphasized that these drones were not a threat and included hobbyist and recreational drones. The announcement aimed to address public concerns and clarify the situation. I think it's kind of weird because why didn't Joe Biden just tell us that? I don't know. So I think there's more to that story. I'm going to definitely be diving deeper into that in the future. A California woman, Phoebe Dong, was sentenced to 41 months in prison for running a birth tourism scheme that helped pregnant Chinese women give birth in the U.S. to secure citizenship for their children. Dong and her husband, Michael Liu, charged clients tens of thousands of dollars for their services, which included coaching on how to deceive immigration officials. The sentencing comes amid President Trump's efforts to restrict birthright citizenship. The Lenawee County Democrat Party Chair Bill Swift has publicly advocated for the death penalty for supporters of President Donald Trump, calling for them to be, quote, hanged by the neck until dead. Ridiculous. Swift made these comments during a radio interview, doubling down on a since deleted social media post where he also labeled immigration officials as Nazi collaborators. This dude is sickening. This has sparked considerable controversy and backlash, with many calling for his immediate dismissal from his position. If it was a Republican doing this, they would have already ousted the guy. It's crazy. The White House is pulling General Milley's security detail and clearance, with a review board considering if he should be demoted in retirement for undermining the chain of command. Forget how he called China behind President Trump's back when President Trump was in office the first time. But Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will announce the decision, which includes removing Milley's portraits from the Pentagon. This move follows Milley's controversial actions during Trump's first term and his preemptive pardon by Biden. President Trump signed an executive order banning federal support for gender-affirming care for minors, including chemicals and surgical procedures. The order emphasizes that such interventions are irreversible and harmful, and it directs federal agencies to enforce laws limiting these practices. And lastly, President Trump is offering buyouts to all federal workers who don't want to return to the office, with an expected 5 to 10% of the workforce to quit, potentially saving $100 billion. The buyout includes 8 months of severance pay and aims to ensure federal employees adhere to higher standards. The move has been met with resistance from federal employees and unions. That's all for today's news wrap up. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest in news. And don't forget to check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. Until next time, peace.